Can we get in?
Hello, Steve.
Do we need to go in the back door or what? Hey,
No.
this is my client, my good friend, Jim Becker. We're in a coaching session. Tell him how I described him in short words. That's Eric Lofholm. Tell him how I described you.
A force of nature you are. And you can like just hold the space of integrity and speak from just knowing and just being and being with other people, and people want to learn from you.
And I also let him know you're the greatest leader I've ever worked with.
He did say
and
that.
I've worked with some pretty sharp. Let me tell you about, he knows who you are, BNS. He watched the interviews. He watched the one last night with Alok.
Oh, thank you.
Now, let me tell you who Jim is. He's the CEO of a company called Becker Logistics. But more importantly than that, he's the first person who said, "Get me a ticket. I want to be in India," before there was even all the paint dried on the fence. And I've invited him to be with us. He's going to sit over at Amy's spot, and we can visit for a minute, or we'll just shut up and wait till we see what you want us to do.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
Well, Jim, it's really nice to meet you, and thank you for being here. I acknowledge your commitment to work with Steve. I know it's a big commitment. So thank you for who you are.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And BNS, great interview with Steve. And also last night, that was amazing. I really love your energy and who you are and your thoroughness. The amount of time that you put into an interview before actually doing the interview really shows up in the final work.
Thank you, Jim. I'm grateful. I'm super grateful.
Eric, how much time do we have so I know?
Just 30 minutes. Does that work for you?
Oh, yeah.
And if you want longer, we can go as long as you want.
I was hoping you said 2 hours. Dude, if you saw, yeah, I can do it whatever amount of time you want. These are the revelations that came to me since 4 o'clock in the morning of things that would be possible. And what I have in front of me is 4 pages of revelations that if I had an audience that would just pay attention and listen, I'd have the most extraordinary thing. And I can put this down to 30 minutes and do something different.
Well, here's the thing. I'm not in any rush. We got all the time there is. And if anybody's here and they have to go, people can come and go as they need to.
And you might want to say that. You might want to say, we got this scheduled for an hour, a half hour. And anybody wants to stay, stay. And if you need to go, go.
There it is. You heard it from the man. If anybody needs to go, go and stay as long as you want. We are blessed to be able to learn from Steve today. I want to set a context for why I created this event. And Steve doesn't do Zooms like this. I've asked him in the past and he point blank I just don't do that, Eric. And even though I knew that, I still felt compelled to reach out and create this event, and he graciously accepted. And the reason why I wanted to create this event was so we could have a live piece of content, which we're all experiencing in this moment, and a recorded piece of content that all of you watching this live or the recording can share with others to help get the word out about the Ultimate Experience India event in Mumbai on February 25th. And this is the only live in-person event that Steve has scheduled right now. There is not another event on the calendar. There's one, and it's coming up in just over a month from now. So in addition to what we're going to get a chance to experience, I wanted to create something where it would be easy for all of you to share this, as you know other people that would love to hear about what's happening in Mumbai on February 25th. And so, Steve, let me just have you open up with anything you would like to open up with, whatever you feel in your heart to share to start us off.
I'm never shy about something to say, I promise you that. So first of all, I'm a diabetic. My blood sugar is a little low, so I'm sorry about eating an apple in front of you. And I might have to eat something a little later to keep me up. I want to say thank you to all of you who are here. I want you to know that I honor your time, and that I promise you that your time invested here will be very, very powerful, regardless of what you do for a living, whether you know about the Book of Being, wherever you're at on the planet, where you're at in the process. if you just be here with us and just give yourself over a bit to like learn and give me some freedom. Like I'm just a dude. I'm just a dude trying to help. And that's literal. So I literally woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning and just I had this series of ideas, and I can't do these in 30 minutes, you know? And it's like, how do I honor an audience and deliver something that's useful and create the distinction of being, because being is not a thing that you describe, it's a state. So I'm really asking all of you, wherever you're at, whatever amount of time you want to put here, great. I'm willing to stay here till it's like something pops for people as a whole. And I'm fine if it's whatever I talk about for you is like, this guy's crazy, then just go ahead and leave, because you won't get anything from me. And I promise you that those who stay here for whatever period of time they can, whether you hear a front portion, a little portion, whatever, will be very powerful for you. So if you'd listen from that place, like, you know, give me the benefit of the doubt, know that my heart's good, know that my reason of doing this isn't, I'm trying to get something. I'm actually trying to gives the possibility of what this thing about being is. And I see we have 12 pages of people, so that's 400 people. And so I only get to see a few of them. And I'm not this guy on the thing trying to make it right. So I probably look at you and my eyes aren't over there and I don't have it all done. I don't have the lighting. Hold on a second. I can do better than I've done. So I would ask you to take whatever time you're going to give to me and be present to me. Don't be multitasking. Don't be doing other stuff. Be here with me. Otherwise, you're going to hear every other word or some amount. It's going to be tough enough anyway, because the language which I'm going to be speaking is quite foreign. People are in the language of doing. And I'm in the language of who am I being? Who am I being? Who am I being? So there's different people here. Again, if I speak about a book or an event, that's just an idea. Change the book to some project you're doing and change the event to a marriage, a funeral, a wedding. You know, apply it to you. It's like, why do I want to hear about some book, some guy? That's not what I'm talking about. Or wait, he's talking about an event in Mumbai. I thought I was on this to learn about being. It's all the same. I want you to see that there's a possibility. I'm going to create just a simple idea. And I'm not asking you to believe the idea. I'm asking you simply to get a possibility of the idea so I can build on it. And those that can do that will really have some great stuff. And the ones who like listen to me every little while or debate me in their mind, they won't hear what I'm saying. So if you get to that point, go shopping or go eat lunch. It'd be better for you. So here's the, oh, by the way, I want to acknowledge, it says Amy Hardison, but that's Jim Becker, my client. He's the first person to commit to get a ticket to India before there were even tickets available. I'm in a coaching session with him and we're in here together. So thanks, Jim, for joining me. So as I speak about people here, and no, we're going to do this differently. I'm going to create an idea that I ask if you've heard it, that you listen to it like you've never heard me say it. As a possibility, when we think, I'm not trying to prove this. There could be some psychiatrist, or there could be a theorist or a physicist that that's not Garrett. I'm not about proving something. As a possibility, each of us has ideas, and we have different kinds of ideas. And I could say there's 2 kinds. We could say there's 10 kinds. I'm going to make it simple. As a possibility, we have passive ideas and we have active ideas. A passive idea, maybe I'm just going along and boom, I think I'd like to go to Florida sometime. But I wasn't doing much about Florida at all, it just popped into my head. I'll call that a passive idea. An active idea would be when I think, hey, I believe I'm really talented at football and I'm going to get better at football. And I have an active idea. I can improve my football game. So if I have a thought, I'm proposing that those thoughts, when they're attached to, actually create who we're being. Just keep it real simple, play like that's true. That my ideas, if I have a passive thought and I don't want it, and I just don't attach to it, I let it go. But if I have the idea, I'm no good, I'm no good, I'm no good, and I attach to that, My being will be, I am that I'm no good. My being will become that. So I want you to see that the possibility, being as a possibility, and we'll talk more about it. And I apologize. My intention is to speak about this rate or faster, not to get through it, because there's some people when they're on this, they're going to want this, and they'll take notes and they'll see stuff I didn't say because of who they're being, not some magic in me, some magic in their listening. So as a possibility, let's just say that our thoughts do create or generate our being. Everything we will ever do, there is nothing you have ever done in the past, you'll ever do in the future that wasn't an outgrowth of who you were being. Any human being, anything you will do between now and the time you die will be based on who you're being at that particular time. That will create the doing. So the way I use this is in a fruit analogy. If I plant a cherry, I get a cherry tree. If I plant a grape, I get grapes. If I plant bananas, I get bananas. So in the state of being, the bean's the seed, the doing is the fruit. So if I'm planting, I'm really loving, guess what kind of doing I will do from a loving seed? Loving. If I'm being faithful, and I'm being faithful, I'll have faithful stuff come from the seed. So with that simple there as a possibility of being, I want you to see that being, this thing, it's a state, it's not a description, it's not like, here's the truth about it. It may be, I declare that it is, the most powerful force on the earth. It is the greatest possibility of creating. Because see, when I see that being, like here's this person, there's this being, and there's one over there in each of those chairs. And when something comes to me that's in front of me, I get to choose who to be with it. It doesn't look like it because our mind says, no, he did that. I'm pissed because he did that. We don't say, hey, who I'm being is I can't deal with a pissed person, so I'm going to get pissed back at them. Because if I was being love and I ran into a pissed person, guess what I'd be sowing? Guess what would be going in the ground if I'm being love? Love stuff. And he may be pissed or she may be pissed, but this is going to be love. So if I can get that fundamental basis that you can see the possibility that your being is generated by you. And if that's true, you'll be able to see that, man, this world I'm living into, I have much more say than I think. I can actually choose who I'm going to be by what I say to myself and what I think. And I can become responsible for my life. It isn't out there, it's in here. We do not see the world the way it is, we see the world the way we are. So whatever we got over here is what we're giving to the whole world. So there's a possibility, this whole notion of being is the greatest breakthrough that could ever happen with the human being. Because very few people get what I'm saying. And I don't mean they're dumb. I mean, it's like they have it more complicated. I need to get that all fixed out there. No, all I manage is who I'm being. I'm with Jim for 2 hours today. We're talking about being. I'll be with somebody for 30 years. We're talking about being. They'll take whatever they got over there and we'll talk about who they're being. So what if the power of everything in the world is sitting inside you in who you're being and you have some say about that? I say that is accurate. I look for why that's true. Again, a physicist, a psychologist, a chemist could say, dude, it doesn't work like that. Great. It does for someone who wants to take it on, that they are who they're being creates the world they live into. Now, I can't know how to say to 400 people, did you get that? Because you got whatever you got. But if you can get the fundamental of it, because I promise you, I will never plant a cherry and get a watermelon. I will never plant being angry and have loving things show up. I will never plant, I can't do this, and all of a sudden I have great success. I will never get 2 Pekingese dogs together and have a German Shepherd. The seed always becomes the fruit. It's everywhere in nature. It's in everything. And it's the soul of who you are in being. So it's a possibility this being that I'm talking about is you. The greatest thing we could do is understand who we're being anytime. Jim and I just spent some time walking around today out doing a coaching thing with the universe because it teaches us. And I let him know this event that's happening in India is important. And the book that's come out is important, but only to the degree it could have someone look at their being. Only as it could have someone look at their being. Because if someone got being, it isn't about a book, and the book can be a great tool. It isn't about an event or where my body's at. Is it in here? What state it's in? Being is every moment who I'm being with the postal carrier, who I'm being with the person that cuts me off, who I'm being when I get in a car wreck, who I'm being when I'm upset, who I'm being. So some people are help organize this, and it's like, imagine the people that are organizing it, and they're organizing it to have a thing on a summit on being, and the picture them being not helpful to each other. That seems a little crazy, doesn't it? Let's put this thing on the 25th, and then let's go to war with each other on the way, and then talk about being. Who the hell are you being right now? This isn't some future event. This is you sitting to me right now. There's some of you who are being there like this. Who I'm being is I'm going to get whatever I can from this. So they're being open. They're being really receptive. And somebody else is like, dude, give him a throat lozenge. It sounds like he's going to lose his voice. And somebody else could be, I'm glad he gave me the invitation to go because I'm leaving. Will you go grab me some throat lozenges out of that top drawer? It's on the right. So as a possibility, it's about being. And I would like to distinguish and give some examples of it. I do not have the truth of being. I don't believe there is a truth of being. I believe being is energy, and it's powerful. And it's accessible to every single person. Every person has the same possibility as any other person. No one is granted more being. You are never not being. You are never not being. So you're either being pretentious, loving, kind, an asshole, a friend, upset, frustrated, but you're always being. Now, what if that's true? And what if I could slow it down and I could choose that so that before anything happened out there, I could choose how I was going to be no matter what happened? I say that's possible. And then life is a process of practicing that. It's like becoming perfect. It's like becoming better from being able to deal with what's outside of me. So that's a fundamental place that I'm going to say about being. Now, gosh, I wish I could say this. Has anybody got a question? It'll take us a long time. So here's what I'm asking you who to be in your mind. Be that this is simple to understand. I will get this. I get it. If you plant that, that's a seed, you get the fruit of that. That's it. As a possibility, being. If I'm being unkind, my actions, my doing will be unkind. Now, with that, I can make an acknowledgement or two and then show you who people are being as real life. This isn't a concept about, defining and get the right answer on the test. This is about being able to distinguish and seeing what being is, beginning with yourself. So when I talk about anybody, I want you to see who you're being while I talk about them. Are you being like supportive? That's a great guy. I appreciate what he does. You're going, why does he think that guy's any good? I want you to actually test your being while I'm acknowledging some people. And then I'm going to share with you who they're being, and you'll see why they have the results they have. You can't plant something and get some other thing you're going to reap. Somebody who is actually understanding being can produce 10, 20, 30 times the result of someone who's doing. Guaranteed. 600 clients worth of evidence of just working with that over time. And evidence BNS on the program. I could share with you who BNS was, that he chose to be, what he did, all this stuff that's just blown up beautifully in his life. And he did it because he's looking at who he's being. So here's some people I'm going to acknowledge. And I ask you to listen to this. And like, this is a sheet he's going down through these people. I'm asking you to listen. And I'm going to, from the little bit of background you have, I'm going to share with you who these were being, who these people were being, and know they don't have some access to this that you don't. So first person is Alan Thompson, the guy who did the research on the book of being entitled The Ultimate Coach. The man, who he was being was selfless in service. I'm with that guy for 90 days. I have a 1-hour call with him every day, and then a bunch of calls. He interviews all my clients. He interviews all these people. He's being paid to do none of it. He's wanting to do it. He gives it to me as a gift. Can you hear that? Who would you need to be to give 90 days of your life to somebody to serve them? That's a magnificent state of being. There are people in the world of whatever you do for business. It's like, oh, I'm not going to go over there and help them. If I was with the client who I helped build a whole coaching organization, and then one of his people come in and said, oh, he asked me not to send that book out. And I said, why wouldn't you send that book out? Well, because then we'll lose business. Folks, who would you need to be to build everything around you that you compete with? Who would you need to be to love people that don't love you? You want to see this? I literally did something on Facebook to show this. I said, go post something on Facebook and be like stingy because you don't want to post it about me because that'll build me up. So that's crazy. So I had people do it and they just posted and they got 4 comments. Other people who wanted to help got 400, 500 comments. Not about me. It connected them with 500 people they didn't know. And the other person has 4 people. When you can understand who someone's being, and guess the most important person to understand who you're being is you. So I ask you to check in every once in a while. Who am I being when this guy's talking? Because that's all I can get. Whatever being you can give me, that's as far as you're going to be able to hear me. And there's somebody in here, several somebodies, whose life will never be the same from hearing one thing I said. And if they put them all together, they'll have this transformation of their own being. So second one is my wife, Amy. She spent 18 months writing a book and putting her project on the side to write a book that we are not interested in selling or making money from. We're interested that people understand who they're being. We try to have them explain, read this book about you, not about me. Read the back cover, the front covers, go through it, find out who you're being. So to watch my wife basically give 18 months of her life in this office to do what she did is extraordinary. Who would you need to be to serve someone else for 18 months of your life for nothing other than the joy of serving the other person? And I'm not against money. I'm saying, but imagine when you start just serving to serve. Chris Nelson, the editor, same thing. Eric Lofholm, right up there, at least on my screen, he's always on the top as far as I'm concerned, but on me, it's a top screen. This guy reads the book, says let me tell you how I can help. Offers to do a Facebook page. I don't know anything about Facebook. I can almost turn my computer on. Anybody who puts me on anything like this, they know that's got to be one of those 1 buttons for that dude. He doesn't even know which way's up. And he offers to build a Facebook group in less than a year at 7,500 people. He commits to work on it for 20 years. I'm not paying him a cent. There was no profit motive at all. Then 3 other people come forward. Dave Orton, blah, blah, blah. They come, I don't mean blah, 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 because it's not important. I'm wanting you to get the essence of the story. So what Eric did, has anybody here, and I'm not like batting you down, I'm saying I'm wanting you to lift up. Has anybody ever done that other than maybe a parent to raise children? Who would you need to be to read a book and offer 20 years of your life while you're running your own business and you got 4 kids? That's a state of being. That's worth looking at. My sister, Teresa Holdaway, she may be on here. I'm going to give you a quick story about her. And I'm going to put in a distinction here at the same time. I call this, don't step over the gold. Don't step over the gold. And the gold is everywhere we're at. Wherever you're at with a human being, if there's a human being over there, that's where the gold is at. We act like I got to get somewhere, some other place, some other day, some other state. My sister, she doesn't step over the gold. She's helped with the organizing. She's been on the book reading. She calls me 3 times yesterday and we finally get together and she's so excited. She tells me that there's this man that happens to be a leader of her church. And while she's listening to a talk, she thinks, gosh, this guy would like that book of being. This could be good for this man. Now, some of us might get that idea, but we're done. We're not going to go talk to somebody about whether it's this book or your idea or your business. Apply it to something. It's not about the book. The book is just the process of who she's being. So she goes to his house. This is the best recollection I have. He's a guy that's doing a Zoom call, so he's dressed from the top up real nice and the bottom down. It's just like whatever you can get away with. And she asked if she could talk to him, and they talk. And she says that when you spoke at church, can you see this is somebody spoke at church and this created it. It's everywhere. That's all it took. She did some action. So she says to him, this is a book, when you were speaking, I thought you might want to read this book. And so he picks it up and he looks at the back cover and he sees my picture. And he says, how do you know that guy? He says, I've read all about that guy in all the Steve Chandler books. I've read every Steve Chandler book there is. How do you know Steve Hardison? He's my brother. This is the gold that's laying around everywhere. It's everywhere. And so he's like, how do I have somebody read a book? How do I have somebody come over here and do this? How do I go to an event? Hey, just be who you are and make sure somebody might know about it. So that's my sister, BNS. This is a guy who, and I can't give you the whole story. It'd take all my voice in an hour. This is a guy who wanted to do an interview with me. And here's the backstory really fast. I said, I don't do interviews. And if you did an interview with me, what you'd have to do for the right for me to tell you no, is you would need to know where the donation is going. You need to get the book and read the book back, et cetera, et cetera. And when you get through the book, you get to a place called TBOLITNFL. You're going to have to watch that so you understand commitment. And it's like, okay, if I do that, can I be interviewed? I said, no, you can do all these things and you're going to call me back and I'm going to maybe tell you no, because I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing it for who you can become. So he does that. And I said, well, also, you need to register for the event yourself, have an experience of the book of being, enroll 5 other people that have the experience of that book of being, not for me, not for seats, for who they can become, who he becomes from doing that. And then call me up and know that I'll probably tell you no. And he goes and does all that. Then he calls me back up and he says, it's all done. I did that. And see, now I know what I got, man. I'm really got a guy who can grow his being right there. He's going. And I said, you got some more stuff to do. He said, what? I said, you need to watch a video called Midnight Miracle and something called Creating Being. And then when I do that, can we do the interview? Now, I probably will tell you no. He goes and does that stuff. He comes back. This will give you an idea of that guy's being. That guy's future is assured out of who he's being. You want to assure your future? Get to where you know that you're creating your being and do some alteration in your being. No one outside you can do it. This guy did it internally. He just had somebody willing to be with him so he actually see who he could be. So when he calls me back up, he's done everything. And this is what I make up, BNS. I'm not sure what you said, but this fits really well in the story. Can you hear that?
Yes, Steve.
He called me back up and he said, I've done everything you've asked me to do. Is there anything else I need to do so I have the right to call you up and you can tell me no on this interview? Get that attitude, man. That is so powerful. And I said to him right on the moment, here's the last thing you need to be. If you want to interview me, you need to be a man that is going to do the best interview he's ever done in his life. You need to be a man that if he interviews me, all the people that are helping put people in the event, if they all died and went home, your interview would put 500 people in that room. Not so I get 500 people. That's who I need to be. He says, I'll do it. I said, you got the interview. So some people say, oh, he talked me into an interview. No, he didn't. We committed us together in an interview. State of being, BNS, amazing.
Thank you, Steve.
Now, come up for air, listen, recalibrate, bring your body back here. If you can't get your body here, go do whatever your body's wanting to do now. Save us both time. So this is an example. This is not the truth. I'm not cool. I'm just sharing with you. I shared other people's examples. But I get a lot of communications in a day, in a year. I get a communication 3 days ago. And it said, you know, somebody gave me a copy of your book. I haven't read it all, but I realized that you're a good man and I don't want to live anymore. I know this will seem strange, but would you call me and help me? And then she puts a PS. And by the way, at the bottom here is kind of a backstory of my life, what I've gone through. And I read it all. I read the top, I read the 3 pages. I read all my communication. I respond to all my texts. I respond to every phone call that there is. That's not cool. I'm not saying you should. That's who I'm being, man. It's the world. It's practice. Every one of these is practice for me. So I called her up. First thing she said was, man, I'm stunned that you called me. And I said, I've read everything. I've read your email. I read the 3 pages, three full pages. I said, I read it all. I said, I promise you this, if you will take that book, that whoever gave you that book, and you read it in this following manner, and then I specifically tell her how to read this. And then I say to her, do you mind if I FaceTime with you? Because I want to see what I'm talking to. And she says, fine. So I'm looking at her, and she would look like a person that was everything that was written on this document in terms of aura. This was not a good place she was at. And you don't have to be a rocket scientist to see that. You just have to be present. And so I see that over there, and I commit her to read the book about her, for her being. And as we do that, I can see she's seeing hope. She literally transforms in front of my eyes because she can see hope. And some of the stuff in the 3 pages is upside down financially, been blah, blah, blah. Anything that would be wrong with a husband and wife or a body or whatever you could have, it was all there. It was as good of all the bad that could be in one body, one place. And she's seeing hope because what I'm saying about what she can learn about her being in the book, it so changes so much that I say to her, I call her by name, and I say, you're not going to believe that I read those 3 pages, even though I told you I did, when I'm going to say what I'm going to want you to do next for your state of being. Because I know that most people wouldn't read her email. Most people wouldn't read 3 pages of someone else's problem, especially if you don't know them. I'm not most people. And neither are you. You're unique, and you can design your being to whatever you want. You want to upgrade it a little bit, you want to upgrade it a lot, it's upgradable. It's upgradable immediately. So I said, I read it all. You can tell from my interactions with you. But what I'm going to ask you next will make you think, he just told me he read this. Because nobody would read all that and then say to me what this guy's saying. And I'm saying it based on seeing that her being shifted. I said, if you read this book, you will have an experience that will be able to help you with all those things on those pages you gave me. And if you want me to be of service to you, I can share something that if you do, will put a rocket on your being. And then I said it again for the 3rd time. You're going to think I didn't read your stuff because she's told me she's $150,000 the wrong way. She lives in America. There's no way to see anything. When she began, she's in a dark box. After we're talking, there's light coming out of her everywhere that light could come out. And I said, I want you to be in Mumbai on February 25th. Be in that room. Everything you will need to do to get yourself so you can get a visa, passport, tickets, a place to stay is exactly who you need to be to handle all those things on the bottom 3 shelves. You know what she told me? I'm in. You know what she did? Bought a ticket. You know what helped that happen? Who I was being. If I told you what just happened with me and Jim in the office, we spent about 30 minutes with a gal we could hardly hear from in India that wanted some help. And we created with her that was amazing. Jim will never forget it. And he saw being in action. Bina may be on the phone call somewhere. I hope she is. She runs
Steve,
a nursing
can
group.
I jump in for just a moment?
Excuse me?
I want to just jump in for just a moment.
Please do.
Okay. So the reason that we've invited all of you here is, in addition to learning from Steve, which is really special. It's very rare for him to come and do a Zoom like this because this is not what he does. The book is called The Ultimate Coach. It was written by his wife. The research was done by Alan Thompson. And this is a great tool that we can all learn from. And when you read the book, you read the back cover and you read the first 2 pages and you read the book about yourself. There's an event that's coming up in Mumbai, India on February 25th. It's the only live event that Steve's scheduled to speak at that I want to invite all of you to. And Steve's talking right now about being, and he's giving different examples of people doing extraordinary things. And I want to show you something right now that is who Steve is. So I'm processing the international orders outside of India as a way of supporting the event. It's not my event. I'm not making a profit from the event, but I'm processing the orders. And this is, there's none of your personal info is on here. This is Steve's order. Okay. He bought 2 tickets to the event he's speaking at, one for him, one for his wife. Now, I want you all to think about this for a second. Who buys a ticket for their own event? I've never done it. I speak all over the world. I've never bought a ticket to my own event. That's who Steve is. He's buying a ticket for his own event to support the charitable cause of helping with sex trafficking over in India. So the whole conversation we're having is around being, and the event that's coming up, I'm gonna pull it up here on the screen. And there's 2 ways that there's 3 ways to participate. So you can register for the live event at theultimateexperienceindia.in. And I'm going to put the link in the Zoom chat, and you can purchase your tickets right on there. And there's 3 different tickets that you guys have the option, 3 different levels that you can purchase. And I'm going to show that to you. So there's a $130 US ticket. There is a $325 US ticket, and then there's a $500 ticket. So if you're in a place and you can get to India on February 25th, that's the way that you would buy your ticket. You go to the ultimateexperienceindia.in. Now, some of you may not be able to make it, but you want to support the charitable cause of helping eliminate sex trafficking over in India and other parts of the world. And so you can buy a ticket as a donation, and that money is going to go and support those causes. And so we created this website just yesterday, theultimatecoachbook.com/donations. And if you want to support this event with the cause of the event, just go to theultimatecoachbook.com/donations and buy 1 or more tickets at whatever price point you want. And that will be money that will go for the cause of the event. And so that's what I wanted to share. And the last way you can help is getting the recording of what we're doing right now and sharing it with your network. So it'll help get the word out. That's marketing. We get the word out so people are aware of what it is that we're doing. So Steve, with that, I want to turn it back to you.
Thank you, Eric. Hey, Eric, I love you so much. Thank you for everything you've done. All the speakers that are speaking there are paying their way to get there. I've had a little meeting with all of them, and somehow they all happen to be my clients. I didn't choose who's speaking, but they literally happen to be my clients. And I told them all, because I'm not afraid what to say, I said, if any of you are going over there to sell a ticket or sell a book, don't come. Do not come. This is not about you. This is about the person that's coming there to understand being. Do not compete with the other speakers. Support the other speakers. Support the people that are there. Now I'm going to say a couple of things based on what Eric said. First of all, I have loved what I've been doing for the last 3 years. I've given my life to get a book out I didn't want, and then speaking at places I didn't want to speak. And I've grown, I've loved it. And this will be the last time I speak at a place. And it doesn't matter what great story somebody comes and whatever they do. This is the last time I speak. Eric knows this is the last time I'm doing one of these. And the people that had created something before this, they were great about doing it. But who I'm going to be is I'm going to be back being who I am with somebody across the couch from me, be with my God, be with my wife, and be with my 4 kids and my 11 grandkids. Because I am giving as much as I can, and you're going to have to take the seeds and do what you want. And there'll be plenty of people, there'll be other ultimate experiences, but I'm telling you, we've stocked the pond with people that can have the message and do something with it. We've improved it because what we've done organically for 3 times is just everybody doing that. What Eric's doing in the background is creating an organization so that we can have these anywhere in the world and have them be organized. And people can come and there can be somebody that actually makes some money because there's a way to do stuff to make money so we can pay things. So it's not just how it is. And it's been beautiful, but I want you to know that I have asked Eric to take this on, and he's going to lead the Bean movement worldwide. So you can see why I would. Here's a guy I'm talking. He sees a great place to say something. And so I love you, Eric. I acknowledge you. Thank you for all you're doing. Thank you for who you are.
Thank you, Steve.
So in the state of being, you have Ranjan. Ranjan, are you with us?
Let me see if I can locate him if he's on here.
So I'll
Yep,
speak
here we
while
go.
you're
Let me bring
looking
him on
for
right now.
Ranjan is the person in India. The first person to step forward was Pooja. And we basically said, we're not going to India. We're going to go back to being grandma and grandpa. And then some things happened. Boy, they got the soft part of my wife somewhere. And she said, yeah, we'll go to India. And then she tells me, happy wife is a happy life. So
I'm here, Steve.
Ranjan, where are you at?
Yeah.
Oh, my friend.
Me,
So
I'm-
I'm speaking of you. So Ranjan steps forward and is wanting to do this. Now, I'm not sure I've ever seen someone give more of their time doing something than the people who've led these events. Ranjan, Judy Thurison, Matt Smith, and their organization that all was people just working. Ranjan quit his job. Now, I'm not asking anybody to quit their job, but that's the level of what he was. It's like he told the owner of the company or the boss, he says, the boss basically said, you can do your passion at this thing or you come do your job. And he's passionate about what he's doing here and what he's learning about being. He said, I wanted to go with my passion. Well, it just cost him his job. Well, let me tell you what I promise will happen with Ranjan. There will be something in this experience, the process of it, or somebody who understands who he is, and the job he had will look like child's play compared to what gets created out of that level of service. I call that the law of the universe. There's the law of harvest. Plant this seed, you reap what you sow. And so people that want to go over there, I'll get 5 clients by hobnobbing with them, even though Steve says go and just serve, they'll get 5 clients. But if they go over there and just give themselves, their future is assured what's going to come from them from just pure service. So Ranjan, I want to acknowledge.
Hang on one moment,
you've
Steve.
done.
Ranjan, if you can accept the co-host, I can put you, it's called the spotlight on Zoom. So Ranjan, can you accept that? Do you see it? Let me
I
try it
think-
one more time, Ranjan, so we can see if we want to be able to see you if possible. So
I think I'm the co-host already.
accept that co-host and hopefully it'll allow me to spotlight you.
I bet his hair's messed up.
It shows that I am the co-host.
Okay,
Correct.
it's not letting me make you front and center, but that's okay.
I know the people that are paying attention, they laughed at that one because that guy doesn't have a hair on his head. That's a pretty head. So, you good, Eric?
Yes, we're good.
Okay, again, this isn't like I'm just thanking people or complimenting people. I'm wanting you to see what people are doing and who they're being. And I'm not saying that you should do this, but I'm saying upgrade your being wherever you're at, whatever job you've got, whatever there is, and watch what happens. And if you want a tool to that, get a book that's really good, because I promise if you read it, you'll be introduced to yourself, especially if you read it about yourself. So that's the purpose of sharing what I'm doing. Now there's a gal named Gabby Puma that could be on here. She saw this book that Eric's talking about. I didn't know her from anyone. She got the book. She read the book as it was instructed. I get a 15-minute video from her, and she's just as emotional as heck, telling me what happened in her world. Then she sends me a video. She's waiting for the UPS truck to bring her 30 books. I still don't know her. She got 30 books coming, and she does the same thing with the 30 bucks. Then she comes and meets me at my house with her husband. And then we do a couple of conversations that can sometimes make a difference in a person's life if they're willing to hear me. And she goes away. She's somewhere else. I'm on a walk one day. She calls and she says, I want to do something like Eric Lofholm's done. I want to do something like your wife's done. I want to do something to really great service. And this is January of last year. So this is 1 year ago. So we had a trip to Peru set up, and it got COVIDed out. And so I say to her, do you write Spanish? She says, I do. I said, my wife and I are going to be in Peru in October. Why don't you translate that book into Spanish before we get there? Simple request. She not only did that, she translated it into Quechua. And when I'm down there, there's 12 physical copies. She's now doing the whole Facebook thing down there. I'm not paying her anything. I'm not a cheapskate. I'm just creating what can be in being. Get this bean and then go take it to a profit thing and watch what can happen. Because the bean, if someone is being this anywhere, it explodes. So Gabby, bless her heart, she's going to India 21 days before the event so she can be on the ground to help Ranjan, other people that need help. So I'm just saying this is what who they're being. There's a gentleman, I think Kasudi might be on here. He's going 21 days early. I met him one time. He read the book. He's seen what happened. And the book Shift the Being, like when I'm talking to you about the gal who I see her on the screen, and then it's like there's a transformation, the being of her took over. It isn't like, why would these people do this crazy stuff? It's like who their being allows them to do that. They're being spacious. They're not being like, gosh, what am I going to do? Picture a person in a hellhole as you can be, seeing the possibility, and then going to fly to Mumbai. I promise you, this woman, when she is through experiencing what's there, as she prepares to be there, it will forever alter her life. That's what I'm talking about, is a possibility of being. If I could, I would take time with every single person that put these events on, because who Judy became, who Matt became, who Ranjan became is a process of who they're being. And that is what I say everything's about in life. It's who we're being. There's a guy named Ankush. I don't know if he's on the screen. He's in India. I mean, in London, and he'll be in India. I worked with him last year. We have an agreement in the following year coming up. No, this year. I watch him in London, just being with people and sharing, and have people that are involved. Life changes. I mean, stuff that just created. They come to the event, and back in April, their life now here is amazing. And I watch him. I watch Ankush. He's married. He's got kids. He's got a business. He's serving like crazy. And when someone gets the state of being, it's like it compresses time. Things can happen 5 times as fast from the state of being. And from that place, I watched what he's doing in India, from England. And I said to him in one of our calls, or sitting face to face, I said, Ranjan, Ankush, I like to read about world leaders. I love it to see how people lead, who they're being, because either being a leader. Leader isn't a doing. Leading is a being a leader. And I tell him about how much I love Mahatma Gandhi and the life that he led. And it's interesting because Alok on the interview last night with BNS talked all about Gandhi. It was beautiful. So I said to Ankush, you remind me of Mahatma Gandhi. The way you talk to somebody and then they're like, they just move with you. It's effortless way in which you be. And I said, Ankush, what you have done in London and what you're doing in India, I promise you from that state of being that you're doing what you do, because it's that gracious state of being, that your impact in life on the world, not just India, will be that of Mahatma Gandhi. And I call him MG. That's who he is for me. That's one of the people that will be in the room out of who they're being, not some cute title, not some movie star. And that's who each of you have the possibility of being by being in that room. Becky Robbins basically helped build the whole self-development world by marrying a guy a lot younger than him and kind of, burping him and getting him up. She was 10 years older than he was when they got married. And now that technology is around the world. So Becky Robbins helped create all that. She read the book of being. She did an interview on it about what changed in her world. She's flying over there. She's going to speak. That's out of being. If you want your doing ignited, it isn't about, do I have an outgoing personality? Am I introvert? Am I extrovert? It's who am I being? Being is before race. Being is before religion. Being is before sexuality. Being is before personality profile. It's the ultimate spot of creation. And you have it. You're sitting with it. Every one of you that are listening, you're sitting with your being. If you want to adjust that and you want a tool, go get the book and read it about you. I'm not trying to sell a book. The ones who do that will have unbelievable experiences. If you want like a power rocket on it, go be with us in Mumbai. And if you want a super powerful rocket on it, just notice who you're being with the next person you talk to. Just start noticing who you're being, because you're producing the doing. And if there's something that's outside of you you're not liking, as you're viewing it, ask yourself, who am I being as this person's talking to me? Why am I being dismissive to them? Why am I being critical of them? Why am I being self-righteous of them? Because that's all you'll be able to do in that conversation. It's yours. You're the one
Steve, I
having
wanted
the
to ask
conversation.
a question.
Do it.
and I had an experience listening to the interview that you did with BNS, and you were talking about listening. And what showed up for me as I was listening to the interview was I want to think of myself as a really great listener, but what I realized is that a lot of times when somebody's talking, I'm formulating my response and I'm not listening. And I really got a lot out of that. So could you speak a little bit to how people listen or don't listen and what your experience is around being and listening?
Yes, I certainly will. Thank you. I'm gonna say something that encapsulates that, if that's okay, Eric. There's a woman that I coach, and I invited her to India, and her group couldn't go on the same date because something they were doing. So I said to her, and this will answer your question. I said to her, well, if you can't get Muhammad to the mountain, let's bring the mountain to Muhammad. So I don't have anything I'm doing in life. So I said, you have all those women read this book and bring me over and I'll talk to those women. And I was working with them. And so get them. They've all read the book. So they have an open mind. If they hadn't read the book, they got some other mind. Like, what's this guy want? What is he trying to do? They could really get, I wasn't there to take anything. I was there to give. And so I helped them see this, that the way they listen to someone is the someone they can get. So if someone's listening to another person and looks for what I call the gold, like what's good's coming out of their mouth, it's a different person that's you hear. And we go with so much judgment to where we listen. We think we're listening to them. We're just listening to our judgment about them. Now, I had these women see this, all of them. It was magnificent. And somebody said, how in the world did that just happen? And I said, you were able to see that you could choose who you're being while you listen, and you can choose who you're being in every situation. And one of them said, can you give me an example? I said, yes. And I'm asking this to all of you here. Participate like I'm talking to, you're one of those 11 women. I said, how many of you have been in a really, really serious upset with your husband or your boyfriend, and you're going at it? I mean, you are going cat and dog. And there's nobody on here who hasn't had that or your lie. Can everybody relate to that? You've had one of those. It's like not a good conversation. And I'm saying that to them. And then I get up and I say, play like you're having that right now. I want you to picture it mentally. And I'm in a conference room, and I went over, walked over to the door, closed the door, and I knocked on the door. And then I said, the minute that somebody knocks on your door while you and your husband are having this argument, and your husband answered the door, he answers it like this. Oh, hi, Frank. And he's just been calling his wife, da, 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 and she just says, I would divorce you. And all of a sudden, like that, he says to a stranger, the MCI guy, the milkman, the postman, hey, what's up? Who did that? He did. That's seeing being. It's like that in everything we do. There is no not that. We are choosing. So one person couldn't quite get that. And I said, okay, let's not knock on the door then. I want you to be in the fight you're in. And I want you to be there in the fight. And then your phone rings. So you're going cat and dog to the max. And then your phone rings and you go like this. Yeah, we're doing great. Who did that? So the listening shifts in the person. The listening here is the two fighting. Man, she's a whatever. Man, he's a whatever. That's not the listening they take to the front door. Because that's a stranger. I don't treat strangers like I'm treating my wife. Because the way I listen who my wife is. Or I don't treat my husband the way, I'm not treating him like my husband because he's not the dork my husband is. So, Eric, the power in everything is in the person listening. It doesn't mean someone isn't doing something outside. So imagine if what you're being is I'm being thoughtful, being loving, it changes when I'm in an argument. And if you have two someones doing that, man, you can have a really great thing. And it's not no error, it's got to be perfect. It's that state of being is a listening. When I say to myself, I am love, it really says, I am being love. And that is an idea. When I say I am heroic, it really is saying I am being heroic. Because the minute I can be heroic, I will have heroic seeds. I mean, heroic plants that come out of those seeds. So a very difficult conversation for many people is to realize the way you listen to the world and who you're being gives you the world you got. That's the good news and the bad news. How was that, Eric? Did we get anything done?
That was great.
I'm going to try. I, in honor of people's time, and I'd stay as long as somebody wants, but I want to read some things that came to me. And if you want to do something at the end, but I want to make sure these are gotten. They just came to me this morning. And I'm not saying write this down or this is cool. It just blew my mind. Purpose of this webinar is to distinguish being so that anything I speak about will be that end, which is a mountain with no top in mind. So this conversation about being is to see that that being is the end, and the end it's no top on it. It's what we're up to, and it's all that can ever be. And being never stops. It never stops till this doesn't breathe anymore. And then I'm not sure if people have their ideas of where it goes, and I have mine, but I'm talking about now. So being is that powerful. As a possibility, the transformation of the being, that would be you or me, by being aware of the choice you have in being and the creative power of being. So get that. The transformation of the being is by being aware. I'm going to be aware of the choice I have in my being. That is what can create a transformation in the gal I'm talking to, or why Gabby would do what she does. By the way, Gabby paid $40,000 to translate all that. She's not boasting. This is what people do when they're being something. And I'll tell you what, she's not going to lose anything, or these people, Runyon, not going to lose anything. Judy didn't lose anything. Hold on a sec, Judy. Can we have Judy say something, Eric?
Yeah, let me see if I can locate
You
her.
say whatever you want, Judy, that supports what I'm
Hang on,
saying
Judy.
about what happened in your world.
Let's see, HIJ.
Yeah.
Let me just find her. Okay, Judy, let's see here. Where did Judy go?
Raise your
Oh,
hand.
there's Judy. Okay, Judy,
Yes.
thank you for
Thank you,
raising
Judy.
your hand so I can add you, and let me make you co-host so you can unmute. So hang on one second. Okay, Judy, you can now unmute.
Hey, thank you. Thank you for having this. And I am an example of what is possible. As you know, or maybe don't know, when Steve was giving his manuscripts away on his birthday, I could not even write him an email because I felt so unworthy to even be in this presence of all these people. I'm like, who am I? I'm nobody. And to see where my life is now, after creating the ultimate experience and creating, all these amazing relationships, honestly, there's nothing that I can't do now. When you say there's a mountain with no top, I mean, I am growing not just exponentially, it's quantum. I'm going from universe to universe, and I'm taking people with me. I was not going to go to India, but BNS interview sealed the deal. And I have to create miracles to make it happen, but I'm not just going by myself. There's 7 of us going in my little community, and India better watch out because we're coming. And Steve is so right. When you give selflessly, unconditionally, magic happens, miracles happen. And I am so grateful. Steve, I love you.
I love you,
And
Judy.
Jacob, if you guys know my son, Jacob, right here, he is working in the background, and he is the biggest promoter of the Ultimate Coach. book, Facebook group, events, everything. He is there for all of us. And it's an honor. It's an honor to be in this community. I love you all.
Thank you, Judy. So here's what I'd like to say. First of all, thank you for being here for the time you've been. I'm going to try to speak because I see we're down 1 of 11. We had 1 of 12. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 25 people said that's too long. So I don't want to have to just drizzle away. But I wish I had said this while those other 25 were here. Ranjan, I've spoken to you about this, and this isn't just about this event. This is about life. I told Ranjan the energy and the power of who he's being and leading, and people like Judy and people that are participating. And if I didn't say your name, I know it. I could take the time and get you all. But because of that, I said, there won't be a seat left in that hotel. But when somebody calls, please don't tell them that we're sold out. Just tell them we don't have any seats left in the main room. But this event is going to be so powerful. Please donate to us. And what we'd love you to do, come stand in the hallway until the hotel people say, hey, too many people in the hallway. And then invite them to go get lunch at the restaurant and pack the restaurant, be in the foyer. And if you think you've told enough people that, because see, all those people could donate to the cause. Plus, imagine who they'd have to be to get there and go, hey, I'm not even in there and I'm going to get something out of it. That person would. And if we have to, then I say, I'm helping on the phone. Somebody calls and I say, there's no more seats there. And the hall may do this. We don't know if they're going to throw you out. I'm not going to trick them. I'm going to tell them the truth. But if you come there, you're going to feel something. And if I think I've had that conversation enough, the next thing I'm going to say is, and if you can't do that, get in your car, put your family in the car, listen to that book on the way down there, sit in the parking lot, you will feel it. That is being. It's not a description of something. It's a state of being. Being as a possibility is energy. It is what has us be connected. And then we get to choose who this part of the being gets to be. What power is that? Is that not cool? Who made that up? I dig it. So, last thing I think I'm going to say. If you haven't seen a video called TBOLITNFL, go to YouTube and get it. What I want to say is I want to say something about commitment. Because commitment, in my opinion, rocks the world. You type someone who is being committed, so that's a state of being. It's not a state of doing. It's a state of being that then does stuff. I like to share this, and if you've heard it before, please listen like you've never heard it. I've been with people who say, I'd like to do that, but I can't. Or I'll think about it and I'll do it some other time. Or that's bigger than me. And I say, what you need to really look at is the greatest model in the world of commitment. And they often say, what's that? What's the greatest model of commitment in the world? I said, every mother that's ever had a baby. That's a huge commitment. And they'll say, oh yeah, the 9 months. No, I'm not talking about the 9 months. I'm talking about after they're here. I said, I want you to see that everyone could have a piece of this mother's commitment, and we have it modeled. Every woman that's had a baby has this mother's commitment. So you don't need to have a baby. Another woman could have a mother's commitment, and I can have a mother's commitment because I create a mother's commitment to what I'm doing right now to this event. And here's the distinction of the mother's commitment. So I say that to this lady, and any lady that's ever had children anywhere in the world, whether they know me or not, if they knew I'm just asking a friendly question, and I say, I just have a question for you, Diane Valance. I want to know are your kids going to starve? And before I can get the word starve out of my mouth, the mother says, no. It doesn't matter what mother I talk to. That's a mother's commitment. She doesn't ask me, who's the president? We got Trump, we got Obama. Who is it, Biden? Shouldn't ask. Do I have a job? Does my husband have a job? No, the kid's not going to starve. She's going to find food. You might want to model that. Like getting a mother's commitment about having someone read a book because it could be so valuable for them. Last thing I think I'm going to say. So mother's commitments to everything. And I have a mother's commitment to my relationship with my wife. I have a mother's commitment to my clients. I have a mother's commitment to this event. I have a mother's commitment to when I speak at the concluding speaker if I don't have a voice, because I've given my voice away all the way up to it. And that will be it. I am committed to be there. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Know that you are the one that can alter your being, and no one outside of you can do it. Now, final note for you, Ranjan, and anybody that's going to be in the event, because I will hold myself to do this. I will ask the people who have read the book, who read this book, back cover, go to the front, read 2 pages, read through the book, and there's a shift in their being. Stand up if you've done that. And I'll have people in that room stand up. And then I'll say to them, stay standing if you know you're the person that read the back cover of the book, the front 2 pages, and you're the one responsible for this shift in your being. Stay standing. Now I'm telling you, they're going to all stay standing. And then I'm going to say to them, you are the only person that should sign this book. You're the one responsible for the shift in your being. I will not sign a book in India. It's not, I'm puffy. I don't want to sign. They should sign their book. You should sign your book. It's about you. It truly isn't about me. I'm not selling a book. I don't need to go somewhere to talk. I dig the life I have. I love everyone that's in front of me. Everyone, no exceptions. It's a great way to be. I love each of you. Thanks for your time. If I've said anything to offend you, or you wanted me to sing or a softer voice, put it through something else and listen to it from that place. This is me. Thanks, Eric, for letting me speak.
You're welcome. Well, let's give some Zoom love to Steve Hardison in the chat there. I'm going to just make it where we can see everybody. I'm going to take Steve and I off a spotlight here. And just
Eric,
wonderful.
would you let me just file through these so I can see people? Because I only.
Yeah. So if you go into
I'm doing it. I'm just
are you in gallery mode?
I'm seeing it. Yeah. I just wanted to slide through them.
You guys want to wave to Steve, give him some Zoom love, give him some acknowledgement.
Wow.
That's powerful.
Look at
you guys
that.
rock.
Look at, oh, thank you so much.
That's awesome.
Wow. Look at that. I'm seeing them all.
Well, thank you all for joining us and allowing Steve to pour into you. It's always a special time being able to hear from him and learn from him. He's had a massive impact on my life. My life has literally impacted every single day, Steve, because of what you've shared with me so far, how I relate to my children, my clients, my neighbors, my community. So thank you, Steve, for all that you do for me and for all of us. And thank you all for joining us. We look forward to seeing you either in the event in Mumbai, seeing you in the community, in the Facebook group, wherever our paths cross next. Thank you all for joining us.
Thank
We'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I wish I had all your, oh man, that's so beautiful. Look at that.
I love you, Steve.
Thank you. Thank you.
I just
Gabby.
made it where you guys can unmute if you guys wanted to say
Thank
goodbye
you.
real quick.
Thank you, Eric.
If you wanna
Thank
unmute.
you for this. It's so
Bye.
see you.
Love you all.
More fun.
Steve, thank you, Eric.
Love you.
Mind your business.
Oh,
Love you.
there's my Fiona.
Love you.
Christina, love you.
Bye, Steve.
Bye-bye.
Steve's and Laura.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Guys, I see you.
Ranjan. Thanks, Steve.
Jim, thank you for letting us have.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you so much. Love you.
Thank
Ross, I
you.
see you. Love you.
Bye, everyone.
Harry, I'll see you in Mumbai, my friend.